The plays, the tackles, the hits, all take a toll on the most important piece of protective equipment a football player uses, the helmet. The annual reconditioning and recertification of your team's football helmets has never been more important. In March 2011, the National Athletic Equipment Reconditioners Association mandated a 10-year performance limit for all football helmets, so any helmet over 10 years old is no longer considered suitable for action.
Riddell has had a policy for a very long time that a Riddell helmet will last 10 years, and after 10 years we will take it out of the marketplace when it's brought through our reconditioning.
At Riddell's facilities, helmets that pass the reconditioning and recertification process meet rigorous performance standards to help teams keep the latest helmet technology on the field.
We strongly recommend that a helmet is reconditioned every year, but minimally every other year. If you imagine 4 or 5 months of a season of impacts, weather, mud, dirt, grime, a helmet can be pretty banged up and in need of some pretty significant overhaul.
Teams that recondition and recertify their helmets not only verify the age and integrity of their helmets, but make the most of their equipment investment. That's a great reassurance that can be passed on to your team's players, parents, and financial supporters. At Riddell's reconditioning facilities, helmets are reconditioned and recertified according to the standards of NOCSE, the National Operating Committee on Standards for Athletic Equipment, and those of the National Athletic Equipment Reconditioners Association. With strict adherence to the NOCSE standard of excellence, Riddell's reconditioning and recertification process is second to none. Let's take a closer look. After your Riddell sales rep ships your team's equipment to a Riddell reconditioning facility, a service contract is generated that details what needs to be replaced or changed. This contract also includes any cosmetic changes you'd like to make, such as new face masks, coloring, or decals. Next, we carefully identify your equipment as your equipment. A unique account number is placed on every piece of your equipment, and we double count each item, ensuring that our total matches the total on the contract you submitted through your Riddell sales rep. We pride ourselves on handling your equipment carefully and accurately. This process of checks and balances occurs 9 times during the reconditioning and recertification process. After the initial count and registry, we remove each face mask and any dated hardware from the helmet's exterior. Removing these items is very important, as it allows for the helmet to be thoroughly inspected for cracks and shell deterioration. All helmet decals are removed by hand. This time-consuming process allows for further shell inspection and prepares the helmet for exterior shining and painting. Your helmets are then buffed by our high-speed buffing wheels to remove large nicks, streaks, and grooves. Next, the helmets are sanded to remove the smaller imperfections and create a smooth, blemish-free surface. Players invest a significant amount of sweat equity into their helmets, so Riddell incorporates a thorough sanitization process.
The helmets are loaded into a special helmet washing machine where they're cleaned, sanitized, goes through a number of stages of washing.
We clean and sanitize all helmets with hot pressurized water to get out the months of grime and perspiration players leave behind. Your helmets then go to a climate-controlled room where they'll dry. After the sanitization process is complete, your helmets are closely inspected for hairline cracks and other defects. Next, the interior padding of your helmets are reinstalled and, if necessary, replaced with new padding. Every inch of the helmet is visually inspected and each quarter of the helmet is tested in strict adherence to the NOCSE recertification test procedure. Before heading to the final paint room, the inside of the helmet is protected from overspray. Then a spin through the conveying spray booth provides a smooth finish. Only approved paints and polishes are applied. After painting, your helmets return to a climate-controlled room in order to dry. Each face mask is inspected for broken wells, distortion, and exposed metal. All reusable masks are reinstalled, and new masks and hardware are installed to replace any rejected masks as per your instructions. Riddell is the first reconditioner to use NOCSE drop test equipment, which simulates the impact a player would feel running into a solid barrier at over 12 miles per hour.
A statistical sample of the helmets is taken and they're subjected to what's called the Nazi drop test, which is an impact performance test.
At any point during the reconditioning process, helmets that cannot be repaired or fail to meet the NOC standards are set aside and clearly marked with the word reject. After passing all 9 inspections and tests, a label is placed inside each helmet meeting the NOC standards, along with the year of recertification. Warning labels are also placed on the rear and interior of each helmet. Next, your team decals can be applied to your reconditioned and recertified helmets. Jaw pads and chin straps, having been cleaned and sanitized separately from the helmets, are thoroughly inspected and reattached. Defective jaw pads and chin straps are replaced. Your finished helmets are now ready for our last quality control. Each helmet is visually inspected and placed in a poly bag and ready for packaging and shipping.
Many of these inspections are above and beyond what would be normally required by the standards. This goes back to Riddell's commitment to protecting the athlete. We want to make sure that every helmet that leaves our factory meets the performance standards that they expect.
It's all part of Riddell's continuing effort to make sure players are protected when they hit the field.
Every athlete deserves a cleaned, sanitized, inspected, repaired, and recertified helmet to ensure that it meets the athlete's expectations, but also that it meets all the protective standards.
Shoulder pads, like helmets, are first counted and identified by placing the customer's unique identification number on each pad. After careful accounting, the pads are cleaned and sanitized by carefully loading them into stainless steel washers that are computer monitored to ensure each load conforms in accordance to the manufacturer's care and instructions. After the pads are cleaned and sanitized, each shoulder pad is carefully hung in our climate-controlled drying room to eliminate shrinking and foam deterioration. When dry, each pad is thoroughly inspected. All the plastic components are checked for cracks, all rivets are checked for integrity, and all foam padding is checked for resilience. Any worn components and hardware fasteners are replaced in accordance to the manufacturer's specs and your instructions. This concludes our look at Riddell's reconditioning and recertification process. Remember, annual reconditioning of athletic equipment helps prolong its lifespan and reduce athletic costs. Annual recertification also ensures that athletic equipment continues to meet the performance standards you expect. The reconditioning and recertification process won't prevent injuries, but it does ensure that every athlete's being protected to the full extent of his or her equipment. Riddell's factory-trained representatives are available year-round to answer your questions. Riddell. Protect. Perform.